Hey guys, I wanted to try to get a second perspective here on this hole, because here you can see we are going to have quite the different wind, and the way that we're going to need to play this is going to be a wee bit different. So there's a couple routes that you can go here, one of which that you should be very careful, with this much of a headwind, you might want to protect against going to that pitch, but that's the first and foremost thing that you want to be thinking about, is going that direction. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to play very close to my max ring adjustment, a little bit more, right around 9 rings or so, and a little bit of wind effect curl there. I'm just going to, foremost, just kind of get it into play, very centered into this fairway, and make sure that I don't make any kind of huge mistake where I could potentially, take myself out of the hole in a wind like this. But I did want to just kind of give you kind of a fresh perspective. One of the things you could probably do is you could probably go over to this and up your ball. You could go with a royal and go very similar. Let's see what my opponent does here. But you probably want to do it with a royal ball if you were going to try it with this much of a headwind. Any other wind, had this been pointed at 8 o'clock, I would have went over here as well. And you probably need to backspin it, I'm assuming. I should have just at least sized it up. But what I want to avoid was, maybe not making it by a yard. I know it's close. I don't know how close it is, but I know it's close to the edge. And there you can see it just comes up short. It does bounce into the fairway, but it's really not going to be any better than what I just did. I was thinking about, top spinning it off of that rough, but that also, has its own risk. So this should be kind of, even though it looks uphill, it should, since it's carrying over this water at kind of a lower, it should maybe be just a little bit more of kind of an even keel. And you can see I was a little bit towards max club here. So, in terms of where I'm going to put my slider position, as I mentioned, there shouldn't be much elevation, if at anything. You'll just want to offset that ball guide, similarly to what you're seeing me do here. And then, where I put my slider is about 9 rings. You go just a little bit more for an overcorrection. Just got it off. Let's just see how this comes in. And it looks like that little bit I went extra. I was just getting a little bit short on time, and it just overcorrected. Might have cost me that hole out. So had I actually hit that 9.0 there, would have been pretty perfect. But you can see that, as I was mentioning, it should be pretty spot on to, a no elevation shot. It looks uphill, but what happens, from what I can see from the elevation, is going over that water there, there's kind of like a low depression to where it's almost more of a flat lie. Whereas this one will be kind of similar, but it might just be maybe a tiny percent uphill because there's a little bit less of a dip. So you can see that it's only going to kind of go over just kind of a little low void where the bunker is. So you might have just a little bit of a depression, but I would expect it to be maybe just a little bit less. But here with the great ball, that should push this out towards the right and not make it able to come back towards the hole. But I did want to give you just a second perspective on this hole, because you're not always going to have that launch type approach, and you'll have to, play this very conservatively. What I would recommend, as you could see, in most scenarios, we'll be able to reach that fairway. That was kind of a very isolated case, as you could see that it still almost caught the fairway, but you could tell that it just came up short looking at my opponent's shot. So that's really the only situation when it's straight into the wind, just like that. Had it been angled even at 730, it would have been enough to probably climb to that fairway. So, good luck with that hole, guys. Hopefully you found those. Do check out my other tutorial, and catch you guys on this shootout coming up.